Somewhere in this country, there is a rifle buried in concrete, not hidden in a wall, not lost in an attic, poured into a sidewalk on purpose by the United States government so that no one would ever fire it again. It is not the only one. Over the last 100 years, the same government that armed Americans for 2 world wars has banned, cut in half with torches, burned in open fires and melted into raw steel some of the finest guns this country ever produced. Some were taken from soldiers, some were taken from collectors. And one of them, the most famous battle rifle America ever made, the rifle that won the Second World War, is sitting in crates right now, refurbished to like new, locked out of its own homeland by its own government. We are counting down 10 American guns the government banned, cut up, or buried. Stay to the end because number 1 is a story that still makes old collectors shake their heads. Number 10. The Street Sweeper. Picture buying a shotgun off the rack one morning, legal, paid for, yours, and finding out by mail a few months later that you have 30 days to register it or become a federal criminal. In early 1994, the Treasury Department reclassified 3 combat shotguns, the Street Sweeper, the Striker 12, and the USAS 12, as destructive devices under the National Firearms Act. The reason was simple. They were built for combat, not sport. Roughly 18,000 owners across America got the notice. To keep what they already owned, they had to be fingerprinted, photographed, and signed off by local police. A gun that was perfectly legal at breakfast was federal paperwork by lunch, all because of a signature in Washington. Number 9. The Catalog Rifle. There was a time when a man could open a magazine or a Sears catalog, mail in a money order, and have a rifle shipped straight to his front door with no dealer and no paperwork. That world ended in 1968. After the assassinations of President Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Dr. King, Congress passed the Gun Control Act. One of the primary drivers was a cheap military surplus rifle ordered through the mail under a fake name. The new law killed mail-order gun sales to private citizens for good. The catalog gun, the working man's rifle that built 100 deer camps, was legislated out of existence overnight. Number 8. The sawed-off shotgun and the Tommy gun. In the 1930s, gangsters like Capone and Dillinger were outgunning local police with Thompson submachine guns and sawed-off shotguns. The government wanted them gone, but lawyers feared an outright ban would violate the Second Amendment. So they got clever. The National Firearms Act of 1934 didn't ban these weapons, it taxed them to death. They imposed a $200 tax stamp on every single transfer, equal to nearly $5,000 today, plus mandatory federal registration. They didn't outlaw the gangsters' weapons, they just made sure an ordinary working man could never afford one again. Number 7. The Pedersen device. Here is the gun that got buried in a sidewalk. During the First World War, John Pedersen built a secret device that could turn a bolt-action Springfield rifle into a semi-automatic weapon in under 20 seconds. The army was so terrified of the Germans copying it that they disguised its name, calling it the automatic pistol, model of 1918. They planned a massive surprise attack for 1919, but the war ended in November of 1918. The secret weapon never saw combat. In 1931, to save on storage costs, the army ordered nearly 65,000 of them thrown into a fire and burned. At the San Antonio Arsenal, some were broken up and dumped into wet concrete as filler for new sidewalks. Fewer than 100 survived. Number 6. The surplus rifles fed to the furnace. After both world wars, the government sat on millions of surplus rifles. While many were sold cheaply in hardware stores, countless thousands were never released. Instead, they were cut apart with torches, run through shears, and melted down into raw steel. Brand new rifles, never issued, were turned into scrap metal. It never stopped. To this day, confiscated and obsolete firearms across the country are trucked to foundries and melted down, sometimes recycled into rebar, pens, or jewelry. The guns that built American gun culture sent to the furnace by the carload. If you're enjoying this, the last three on the list hit the hardest, including a rifle the government shipped overseas and then refused to let back home. Keep going. Number 5, the 1994 ban. From 1994 to 2004, it was against federal law to manufacture some of the most popular rifles in America for ordinary civilians. The federal assault weapons ban named 19 specific models, including the Colt AR-15, along with a list of features. If a rifle had the wrong combination of a folding stock, a pistol grip, or a bayonet lug, factories couldn't build it for the public. The hardware didn't change, only the law did, taking the most common rifle style off the table for a decade. Number 4. The M14. The M14 was the standard military battle rifle in the early 1960s, the last of the great American wood and steel military rifles. When the M16 replaced it, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara ordered the existing M14s destroyed. They were cut clean in half with torches or shears, even though still brand new in the wrapper. The government destroyed around 750,000 rifles in total. Because the M14 can fire fully automatic, the ATF holds a strict policy: once a machine gun, always a machine gun. Unlike the older M1 Garand, not one single M14 was ever legally released to the American public. Number 3. The machine gun, frozen in time. It is perfectly legal for a regular American to own a machine gun, but only if it was made and registered before May of 1986. On a single-voice vote in 1986, the Hughes Amendment slammed the door shut. From that day forward, no civilian market machine guns could ever be built again. The supply was frozen exactly where it stood. As a result, a registered gun that sold for $1,000 before the freeze can cost $40,000 today, simply because the government capped the registry. Number 2. Grandpa's War Trophy. Generations of American soldiers brought enemy weapons home from overseas as souvenirs. For decades, nobody thought twice about the old rifle sitting in the closet. Then the 1968 Gun Control Act drew a hard line, creating a brief registration amnesty that closed on October 31, 1968. If a family missed that deadline, the heirloom instantly became contraband. Today, families are discovering these trophies and learning that simple possession carries up to 10 years in federal prison. The souvenir a man bled for turned into a felony by an old deadline. And number 1, the rifle that won the war, locked out of America. During the Cold War, the United States shipped hundreds of thousands of M1 Garand rifles and M1 carbines to South Korea to help an ally hold the line. Many sat sealed in crates, and over the years the Koreans refurbished them to like-new condition. Decades later, roughly 860,000 of these American-made rifles were bought by American importers to be sold to domestic collectors. And the United States government said no. The State Department blocked the import, and in 2013 the policy was finalized. Military-grade rifles like these would not be allowed back into the country to keep them off American streets. So, there they sit to this day, hundreds of thousands of the most storied rifles in history, made in America, carried by Americans, locked in a warehouse on the other side of the world. The rifle that won the Second World War, shut out of its own country by the government that built it. That is the strange, hard truth running through every gun on this list. Every one of them was banned, cut up, burned, or buried by a signature, a vote, or a deadline. The steal didn't fail. Somebody decided it had to go. If a gun on this list surprised you, tell us in the comments. And if you want more of the stories behind the guns America grew up with, stick around. There are plenty more where these came from.